A legendary Valve employee confirmed he would definitely turn down working on Half-Life 3, while a different insider is saying that the Deckard will be releasing in 2026. So here is all the Valve news you want to know about. Around 2 months ago, we talked about Steam going onto the Xbox, and from new reports from Microsoft insiders, it seems they are now getting closer with new tests happening behind the scenes. Right now, Microsoft is testing Steam and a few other game stores, like Epic, directly on the next Xbox console and PC version. After over a decade of Gaben wanting to do this, it seems Xbox and Steam are finally going to be working together. Talking about working, a very well-known Valve employee, Marc Laidlaw, who recently posted a song called 19711, just had an interview and talked about Half-Life 3 and how he would turn down working on the game. It started when Marc Laidlaw explained his retirement to IGN. "I think I retired too hard," he said. "I can't do games without a bunch of people. I can't make a game myself," insinuating that he still wanted to be creative. So Marc makes music now, and got a boost after the Half-Life 2 20th anniversary documentary as he released some lost footage. Marc then joked, I'm in the wrong business. I should just be leaking information about my old employer." When asked if it felt weird looking back at Half-Life after all these years, he said, "Yeah, it was good for me just to kind of process and put a bow on that stuff. Seeing a bunch of old friends, think about that, the whole thing. I hadn't talked to or seen a lot of these people for a long time. I still stay in touch with a few folks, but they're also not really there anymore. I don't know what's going on there right now, but it was fun to hang out with people and talk it over, and it was therapeutic." As with the anniversaries past, there's not a lot of games left for Marc, where he said, "I could speak to Dota. That's the only thing left." Adding on, "I did a little bit on Alien Swarm." Continuing on how he didn't really get many interesting offers after working at Valve. "I did kind of expect more interesting offers of stuff to do afterwards, and was kinda like, this is weird. Somebody wants me to write their synopsis for their mobile game. It's like they don't know what I do. I haven't really heard of any interesting game offers that seemed right for me. People think of me as, you can come in and write a bunch of stuff for a game. I'm like, do you notice how little writing there was in Half-Life? Sort of the point of it was I hated reading in games." But of course, the interviewer wouldn't finish without asking about Half-Life 3. Saying if Valve gave Marc Laidlaw a call and said, "We want to get the band back together for Half-Life 3, would he answer that call?" "I would not do that," Marc said. "I can definitely say I would not do that. Even when I was there, I started to feel like, oh, now I'm the old guy shooting stuff down. I think at some point, you need to let the people who are the fans and the creators who've came in because of what they learned from you, and let them have that. We need new stuff. We don't need me going, well, the G-Man wouldn't do that in my day, and I found I had to restrain myself. People would get enthusiastic about stuff, and I felt like it was becoming a negative force on some of the creative process." Even continuing in saying that he's never played VR Half-Life Alyx. "I haven't played the VR Half-Life Alyx, so I don't really feel like I can. I don't know what's going on with anything, and it's not really my place. God knows what it's doing in terms of creative process of how to get a great experience that will surprise people. And you have to be right at the edge of what you can do in a moment. And I'm not on that edge anymore. That's not what's interesting to me at this point, so I don't think I'd be good. Plus, I'm one of the older guys, maybe not the oldest, but it's so much work. I mean, I don't think I could do that anymore. I get into my own things, but it's not on anyone else's schedule. And yeah, I'm pretty much done. I mean, maybe not done with games altogether, but definitely the Half-Life part of my life is way behind me." So, there's that. Marc Laidlaw confirming that he wouldn't go back to Valve to work on Half-Life 3. Of course, Marc Laidlaw is a legend for Valve and Half-Life, so it's great to hear his thoughts whenever we can. Switching things up, Portal 1 recently received a one-line update, but it was the first one since February. Talking about Portal RTX got a huge update, being included in Nvidia's recent blog, mentioning how in the new update they upgraded the neural renderer to bring even better performance and image quality, adding that Portal RTX now features a native integration of DLSS 4 with multi-frame generation. there was a bunch of other improvements like RTX NRC, where they included a bunch of comparisons like with glass, moving fans, and just a lot more like improved lighting responsiveness, which is the first Portal RTX update in over a year. Now, in the last video, we talked about how a VR CEO and founder Stan started hyping up Valve's next HMD, saying that it is quite amazing. But the real question is, did Stan see the final version, or was it just some prototype? Around a month ago, an early Steam Deck prototype was sold for $3,000 and had a lot of differences compared to the retail version. Why I'm saying this is because specs for a Deckard prototype has been shared, which we will talk about, but of course it's important to know this doesn't mean it's the final version, but it does give you an early idea of what Valve is working with. From Sadly It's Bradley, the Deckard POCF is just one of the early versions, but it is the model that we know the specs of. The Deckard Proof of Concept F used a Qualcomm SM8650 system on chip, which is another name for the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3. The Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 includes a GPU that's one generation newer than the GPU in the Qualcomm XR2 Gen 2. The Deckard POCF prototype used 2.8-inch LCD panels made by Japan Display Inc., model LPM026 M648C. Each panel has a resolution of 2160 by 2160 pixels, creating sharp, clear images. The panels also support a refresh rate of 120Hz, making visuals smooth. Compare this to the Index, which uses LCD panels that are 1440 by 1600. The Deckard POCF also had 2 eye-tracking cameras and 4 SLAM cameras. Of course, this all sounds great, but we need to remember this is not the final version. Similar to the Deckard controllers from the patents to the Roy controllers seen in Steam VR. Changes will happen, especially when we are talking about early prototypes and proof of concepts, but this at least gives us a glimpse into what the Deckard specs could look like. But when we compare it to previous Valve hardware, like the original Steam controller, which changed drastically over time, or what about the Steam Deck, which went through a bunch of designs and different specs as well, or even all the prototypes we know about for Valve's past VR headset and Knuckles that completely changed over the years. Plus, these specs were only for the Deckard POCF, which doesn't include the other models we know about, and also the other models we don't know about. But continuing on with the Deckard, Stan, who recently teased Valve's next headset, did an interview with Road to VR about the situation, where he explains that he's heard that mass production and eventual availability is slated for 2026, which of course is a bit different from reports which claim 2025 that were based off the Steam Universe 10-year anniversary. But of course, Valve does not need to follow any dates, so if the Deckard needs more time, well, that's what Valve will do. So if you are hoping for the Deckard, well, 2026 is just 6 to 7 months away at this current moment, which will be here before you know it. So it seems we may have gotten our first real indication of when the Deckard will release from a VR CEO and founder. Remember, this is not official information from Valve, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any news or announcements.